Remember that the goal for today is for you to be able to use a table, a graph, or an equation of the y equals mx plus b format to describe a linear relationship. So I'm actually going to just work you through this first example here on your practice problems to sort of talk you through how you can do the rest of them. So in each of these, you have a spot for some equation information, some table, and some graph. And you're going to get one piece of information, and then your goal is to fill out everything else. So in this one, for example, they've given me an equation, and I would need to identify the slope and the y-intercept, and then create a table and a graph. This one down here, they've given me the table, and I would need to create the equation, slope, y-intercept, and the graph. This one down here, they've given me the graph, and I'll need to create the table, equation, and identify the slope and the y-intercept. So we'll start with this one up here. And this is the only one I'm going to work through. But again, your goal is to be able to connect all of these big ideas, equations, tables, and graphs to describe the same linear relationship. So because this mx plus b format is so fantastic, we know that the coefficient, or the number that is in front of the x, is the slope. And so my slope there is simply going to be 2. We know that this b, if I connect it over here, this is my y-intercept. And so my y-intercept would be right there at 0, 3. And so I can then, again, my table, well, the numbers they've given me here are 0, 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Well, I just identified my y-intercept from the slope, from my equation. And so I know right here it's going to be 3. And because I've identified my slope, that simply means I need to add in 2 each time, right, from this value here. And so I could write that in one of two ways. One, I could think that this next part of my table would be 2 times 1 plus 3. And so 2 times 1 is 2, plus 3 is 5. But I can also just remember that every time in my table, I'm just adding 2 each time, because that's what my slope was, is I increased my by 2 here and 1 over here. And so I'm simply going to add 2 each time. And so it's going to be 7, 9, and 11. And so if my slope had been 1/4, right, then I would have to sort of adjust accordingly. For graphing, again, same thing. I'm going to start by using my y-intercept. That's the easiest one to find. And so I know the coordinate there is 0, 3. And so I'm going to come here on my x. I'm going to go over 0, but then I'm going to go up 3 and put a dot. And then now I can use any of these other points to help me graph that. And so maybe I'll do this like 4, 11 one, just because it is the furthest away. And so that one would be like there, I think. Let's see, that's over 4 and up. That's 10, that's 11. I could have done any of these other two. Any of these other points in here. I could have done this one that's like 1 and 5. Any of them is fine, but I like that one that's furthest away, because now I can simply take my straight edge and draw a line through it, putting arrows on it to say it goes in either direction, and I'm done. So again, that is your goal for these practice problems, is to connect equation, tables, and graphs. Some of them are a little bit more challenging than others, but looking at the table, I typically will start by trying to identify what is the slope and what is the y-intercept. Again, I'm looking for where the x value equals 0 to find my y-intercept. And then, because once you know your y-intercept, it's super easy to graph. If you know your slope, you can just do that. If I know my slope was here, up 2 over 1, so I can go up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. That's another way you can graph it, okay? So that's your work for today, is just to really start connecting. There's 2 sides to it. I've done the first one for you. If you want to come see me for the key, you're welcome to do so when you've done your practice problems.